The time is just got 11 minutes past 8 as we kick off this morning, and we're going across to Jerusalem to be joined by Ofer Neiman, who is an Israeli citizen and also a Palestinian rights and anti apartheid activist. Ofer, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, wonderful you're able to join us this morning. And I'm sure the situation where you are right now in Jerusalem is pretty tense.
Yeah, the situation is tense. People are shocked, and some of us, myself included, are also looking at what's going on in Gaza, and we're horrified by the Israeli bombings. We're horrified by the massacre that happened on Saturday, and we're horrified at all those children being killed right now in Gaza too.
Yes. Now, I see, in fact, you have been interviewed, and there's an article that actually appears talking about the background to the crisis. And also, in this interview, you've made a number of observations on your own, and you spoke about the conditions, what was the situation in Gaza that actually led to these attacks of.
Yeah, so it's a powder keg. As long as Gaza is the world's largest open air prison, and people are living there in hellish conditions. First of all, this is terrible in itself. Um, um, Violations of human rights. I don't think Israelis should accept that. It doesn't feel safe. I mean, it doesn't, personally, as an Israeli, as a privileged Israeli, it doesn't make me feel safe knowing how people in Gaza are living right now. This must change.
Yes, and also I think just looking at some of the background to this, now we knew that there was a build-up. We've seen people like Benjamin Netanyahu. We've seen what has been playing out in the West Bank. We know what has been playing out in Jerusalem with regard to the settlers, the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, all of this have been contributing factors because when one looks at what Hamas, he's saying that they are. This is not only about the people of Gaza, but this is about the people, all of Palestine, and particularly, in fact, they made specific mention of Jerusalem and what has been playing out in Aqsa before Hamas had actually decided to take the step to go into southern Israel.
Well, right now, Israel has the most extreme right-wing government that we've ever had. This government, some of the senior members of this government are messianic extremists who would like to see Palestinians ethnically cleansed, expelled into Jordan or Saudi Arabia, and they support violence against Palestinians. They are racist, and there is a lot of Israeli violence in the West Bank as well. As you mentioned, there are provocations in Al-Aqsa, and some senior Israeli politicians are quite supportive of those who would like to at least change the status quo on Al-Aqsa dramatically, or even there is a very dangerous movement here of religious Jewish extremists who would like to build the so-called Third Temple, and they would like to build it on Al-Aqsa. And of course, this is very, very dangerous and must be opposed.
Yes. Now, obviously, we see the aftermath of the Hamas attack in southern Israel, and we see this genocide that is unfolding in Palestine. And just looking at it from your perspective, looking at it from fellow Israelis' perspective as well, we know that this right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu has rallied support not only within Israel, and we know that he was in a precarious situation. There were many protests that were taking place against Benjamin Netanyahu from within Israel. But what we've seen now is him galvanizing Israeli society, and not only Israeli society, but galvanizing support right across the entire world.
Well, I would say that the majority of the Israeli public, and certainly the ones who have been protesting against him, are furious at him because they look at what happened and they see a huge failure, a failure to protect human lives. I agree with this specifically. I mean, I would like to protect all human lives, including Israeli lives. And it's clear that there was a huge failure here. People are very mad, and it's likely that he will be pushed out when this is over. We can talk about the separate issue of how the world is responding, and support for Israeli attacks on Gaza. Um, in Israel, yeah, I mean, there is broad support for bombing Gaza, but Israeli government ministers right now who are visiting hospitals or talking to people, they encounter a lot of hatred, of anger. I'm sorry, not hatred, because it's clear that this attack could have been prevented, and it was not.
Yes. Now, just looking at it from Hamas's perspective, and Hamas has made a number of statements with regards to a justification for the attack, and obviously, key to this is the violent aggression, the Israeli occupation at the end of the day, and also in terms of just looking at Hamas itself in terms of its conduct. And we see the world media talking about 40 babies being slaughtered. We see so much coming through in terms of propaganda that has been pushed out to justify this genocide that is committed against Israel. And Hamas is saying that their instructions were clear: don't kill women and children. They said the Qassam Brigade themselves saying that they did not plan to kill civilians, and they said we cannot harm civilians or prisoners. We act in accordance with international laws of war. Just your comment on that offer.
So, unfortunately, it's clear that many civilians were killed there. I don't know exactly how. So, I would still call it a bloodbath. Beyond that, some of the allegations that Israel has made are seem to be unfounded, and a lot of conspiracy theories and fake news it's being spread. I want to know the truth. I want to know what happened. It's clear that civilians, including children, were killed there. So far, it's not clear at all. Many of the horrific allegations that we've seen about babies being beheaded. I understand that even official Israeli spokespersons, when asked by international media, they cannot substantiate some of these horrific allegations. But it's clear that civilians died there, and I don't want this to happen. I mean, not inside Israel. I don't want to see people getting slaughtered in Gaza as well.
Well, it's very, very unfortunate, and I think my sentiments are exactly the same as yours, particularly in terms of innocent people on both sides as well. They shouldn't be collateral damage, and they shouldn't be paying the price of what is playing out on a political level, and also the bigger agenda of that is actually playing out, and what Netanyahu and his government has in store. Just looking at it from Israel society, and you speak about all this fake news and a lot that is playing out, just looking at Israel media, looking at the people in Israel, do they believe what they are seeing, or are they having second thoughts?
Well, I mean, people are shocked, so it's hard for them to believe that this happened. I mean, also because people here typically consider the Israeli military to be very capable, and now they're asking themselves, how did this happen? It's such a catastrophic failure to protect lives. I'm afraid that people are not asking themselves more general questions, for example, about recognizing Israel's occupation and apartheid. There is an occupation and apartheid system here. It must come to an end. While people may be critical of the Israeli military's failure to protect civilians, the majority, I would say, have still not come to terms with the existence of an occupation and apartheid system here. Um, um, between the river and the sea, the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, a system which must come to an end.
Yes. Now, we can talk a lot about Gaza and what is playing out in Gaza at this point in time. But just looking at other areas, looking at the West Bank, looking at your position where you are in Jerusalem, and the reports that we have been getting in terms of Jerusalem, that things are very, very tense. People are indoors. Today being the day of Friday, it is a holy day. It is a big day for Muslims. And I'm not too sure at this point in time of as to what is going to take place at Aqsa as well with regard to the Friday prayers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen today, but as a Jerusalemite, I would just say, stay home. That's what I'm going to do. It feels it is very, very tense. It doesn't feel safe. Um, so, I mean, I hope to see better days, but we need to change the underlying political order here in order to do that.
Is there a possibility of changing that order?
It's a long-term process. I think that first of all, the war must come to an end. And right now, the war means Israel bombing Gaza, including the use of white phosphorus munitions, according to the footage that we've been seeing. Entire families being wiped out, people without water, medicine, shelter. I think this is the immediate step, stopping all of that. Afterwards, negotiating an exchange of prisoners and hostages. And beyond that, we must end apartheid here. And this means lots of things, including things that, from my understanding, we saw in South Africa, such as a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think such a commission would be is absolutely essential, considering various atrocities that we're seeing here, so that people at least know the truth and can sort of build a better future.
Yes, often now just looking at the international reaction and the international support for Israel, and the United States of America has made it very, very clear. We've seen even the Secretary of State Blinken, who actually met with Benjamin Netanyahu. He is due to meet Palestinian leaders today, and also the level of military support. And clearly, if we need to stop what is taking place just by expressing and providing physical military support to Israel, that alone speaks volume as to the type of support that Israel has got and how even the United States of America has bought into the Israeli narrative. We've even seen other countries in Western Europe expressing their support. We've seen Europe talking about offering their services to rescue Israeli hostages in Gaza. We've seen laws being changed in certain countries, criminalizing the support for the people of Palestine, banning the flying of the Palestinian flag. Now, all of that has been playing out, and it just tells us that the propaganda machine of Israel has worked very, very well to garner the level of support that we've been seeing.
Yeah, so we're seeing the strongest power in the Middle East and the world's superpower coming together against basically an open air prison, Gaza, where people have been living under terrible conditions for years. This doesn't make me feel safer. This is not the way to solve the problem. Giving Israel more high tech weapons to bomb Gaza. We need a different approach, and we also need to counter these attempts to silence anti-apartheid and Palestine solidarity voices in the West.
Well, definitely, and also we've seen the latest where the people of Gaza has now been given 24 hours to vacate. Now the question is, where do they run? Because they've been surrounded on all fronts. You've got the sea on the one side, you've got the Egyptian crossing that has been bombed, and all around they've been surrounded, and they've been now given this ultimatum. leave within 24 hours, and or else we will continue. We will wipe you out.
Yeah. So when this happens, we call that ethnic cleansing. So I would say that Israel is committing ethnic cleansing and war crimes and even a genocide in Gaza. I don't know where these people can go, and Israel should stop all of this. Of course, first of all, the bombings and restore water, electricity, and people in the West should recognize should stop this hypocrisy. We need consistency in human rights. So obviously, I mean, we're seeing various camps here. Some camps, for example, have failed to stand in solidarity with Ukrainians who are facing a genocide under Putin's attack. Now we're seeing people who are not standing in solidarity with Palestinians. We need much more consistency in human rights in applying international law.
Yes, clearly, when all this dies down, and we hope very, very soon, over just looking at Israel society, are they going to have now second thoughts as to who Benjamin Netanyahu is? I know you did mention this in the beginning, that the level of support he enjoys is not as much as he thinks he does. But after the dust has actually settled, I'm sure that people in Israel are going to have very, very different thoughts, because they have been questioning the fact as to why there was no intelligence. Why was the intelligence breached? And why did they not have prior knowledge? Was all the sophistication that Israel and the military have, and to be surprised in an unprecedented attack from Hamas, like Hamas had done. Clearly, this is a major talking point as well.
Yeah, of course. And now we know that there was some information. Apparently, the Egyptian minister of intelligence had phoned Netanyahu to warn him of something terrible that was about to happen. I think Netanyahu politically he's finished. I think he's on his way out. Another question is who will replace him, and it's likely to be someone from the so-called center. But the problem is that these people from the center, former generals such as Benny Gantz, they still support the overall occupation and apartheid structure that we have here, and perhaps they may be more pragmatic on some issues. But the big question is, are they going to change to end occupation and apartheid? I don't think they want to do that. Certainly not when they have U.S. Support, and we have to keep campaigning, including, of course, the BDS campaign, boycott, divestment, sanctions, to try and change that.
Well, Ofer Neiman, thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning. Please be safe. We wish you well, and take care. Thank you for your time once again.
Thank you.
Ofer Neiman joining us out of Jerusalem, an Israeli citizen, but also a Palestinian rights and anti-apartheid activist with us this morning, providing us with an update. We're going to go for a break. We come back. We'll be joined by the National Association of Democratic Lawyers.